Welcome back
Hey.
to the Fashion Code. I'm Elizabeth,
And I'm Love. You'll see me later.
and this episode is about the Metaverse, specifically what's wrong with it.
There's a lot and a little. We'll talk about it all.
Okay. Grunge or Gross YSL Men's 2023 collection or show. I would say that they had the show in the Agafay Desert outside of Marrakesh, Morocco, which I thought was very interesting. They had like a kind of like a dune, what everyone is calling dune vibes. So they had this like big halo, I guess, representing the sun come out of this like circle of water, and they had the models walking around that circle of water. I don't know where specifically the audience was sitting, but the camera work was amazing. I watched and examined the whole show on YouTube, so I thought the camera work was amazing. I wasn't sure if it was the models walking so well or the camera work contributing to it. But after watching the whole thing, I think the models did amazing. All of it was amazing. But the most interesting part was learning that they were carbon neutral. And I was so curious as to why that was a headline on multiple websites. And I saw that they took different actions to essentially make it carbon neutral. So I think it was very interesting to see that they contributed to creating a more carbon neutral show altogether by using used resources locally, sending like any leftover like fabrics or anything to carpet makers in Morocco, and also planting trees in that country, and also giving education or creating resources for education for kids in Morocco for more sustainable to know how to essentially build sustainability in that country. And I wondered why specifically Morocco, but apparently Saint Laurent, Yves Saint Laurent has ties to the influence that Morocco essentially gave him. So the current creative director decided, or artistic director decided, to have the show in Morocco. 2019 show that happened in Malibu, and essentially how that was like hurting the environment. I don't believe they had or didn't get consent to have their show on Malibu's beach. And essentially it went through with it, and then there were so many controversy and problems after, and that made the fashion world look into essentially how to create a more sustainable future. And then in 2020 they created some sort of pledge to essentially stick to the rules, get consent, and be more sustainable. So I feel like they're kind of like sticking to that wave and aligning themselves with that while keeping that Saint Laurent brand image, which I feel like out of a lot of fashion houses, they know how to stick to their brand image very well with every creative director that comes on board. And yeah, I don't know. I think, for specifically Saint Laurent Men's does something to me. I absolutely love that they constantly like stick to the type of man a YSL man should be or is. And they always do that with the looks, and they don't stray away from that.
Yeah, grunge, but they should have already been doing that already in the industry. Like carbon neutral would be awesome every single fashion show, like bare minimum. I think grunge though still.
Yeah, no, so I would deem it as, definitely grunge. Yeah, it was, so they had different, so basically like the Metaverse had different like phases essentially. So like you'll go from like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It wasn't directly called phases, but basically like, you're the first phase is like you're going in the Balenciaga virtual store, and then phase 2 is like the Balenciaga like version of like maybe New York City or something like that, with like everybody wearing Balenciaga, everything. So I would call it a Demna's world, like how he would think it. And I thought it was like, very futuristic and dystopic in a sense. And I thought, it was very, very cool. Back then in 2020, a lot of fashion brands were more focusing on creating like little cool characters into their game. But I thought Balenciaga making digital twins of real models, using essentially like, this like truck that brought in those models and scanned them and then put them into a video game, essentially was a bit more ahead than what a lot of other fashion brands were doing by just creating like little action figures and then, partnering with Minecraft or partnering with Roblox or like creating like a store in Sandbox, and I thought it was just a more immersive experience. And I'm surprised that like, I don't think really anyone else has really followed in their footsteps after that show that happened in 2020, because I don't think there was any other show all last year that did anything similar to what they did. So I think for the fashion world, it is a bit ahead of its time. And I like that they did make it like they're engaging and immersive, and those digital pieces were also physical. So, and that was the time that we were all in quarantine. So it worked.
Okay, it's time for the metaverse stuff.
From that, I'm like, the government is trying to brainwash you to be like, oh, the metaverse is dangerous, but they'll still use the same information to control you. So what you talk about?
And I think that's just meta. Everybody thinks the meta is the only metaverse and we're gonna get paid in Zuck bucks. So I don't know.
Come on now. Not real money. Zuck bucks. Are you kidding?
I stay off of Facebook because of this. It's the information.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's get into the burning question. So the burning question of the day is, what is the metaverse? What's wrong with the metaverse? Like, let's clear up some misconceptions.
I've heard a lot of misconceptions about the metaverse, and it's kind of funny because I thought it was a really like simple concept, I guess.
Like what?
So some people think that like we're gonna upload our consciousness like in the movies, like into the metaverse, and like we'll go there part-time, I guess. And I thought that was hilarious because I'm like
you dissolve.
Yeah, like you're like just inside of like the metaverse. Actually, like your whole
makes it easier for people to connect online. But I understand why people went towards Meta. Zuckerberg came out guns blazing and even has 7 years of backlogged like YouTube video content. Like, I'm not surprised. So that's just how it is. Yeah, there's lots of metaverses you can build right now in like Monaverse or Leapin, and there's like obviously Decentraland and Sandbox and stuff like that. But those are a little bit different quality, which is quite interesting because check out all the different types of metaverses. There's a lot. Look around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I remember looking at this like land issue where a guy got really entrenched into like how Decentraland's land like sales like became so high, and of course like that's when last year was when like, or like the second half of last year was when like celebrities started getting into it and started buying out a lot of land, and then the price tag essentially started racking up, right? But I thought it was very interesting, like how it's essentially going to be like monetized in the long run, right? Like, is it going to be like feasible?
It's crazy because the price has like fluctuated a crazy amount, and in every metaverse it's kind of wild. But if you look at like Decentraland and like Sandbox and the ones that like do have high price tags sometimes, or like those ones, those are gonna be owned by companies, like, and like those are gonna be owned by rich people that want to do something with their land and
corporations that want to have ads and like things like that there. And you can already see that trend because who's going to be able to afford that? So, and yeah, we're going to be guests and like, you know, do entertaining things and have like little different setups, and maybe musicians and stuff will have their plot of land there and do little concerts and stuff. But that's essentially what it's going to be. And then you'll have your creating universes where everybody will be able to go and create like cool universes and be artistic and have freedom, or like make a gallery, or, you know, have some type of like, I don't know, game in there. Even like you can build your own game already. So things like that, like with Unreal Engine 5, like, yeah, anything is pretty much possible. So yeah, go try it out. It's pretty fun, and like you'll be able to make literally anything. But schools are using metaverses a lot, like institutions and like work that are online and stuff. Like it's just so like connected.
Yeah, I think that like essentially creates like more accessibility with having students like, you know, not having to be like, oh, in a physical class, but wanting to attend like a specific school on the other side of the world, and also keep them very engaged with the context of like whatever is being taught. And then also like work. So I know people have like their ups and downs when it comes to like the metaverse being used in like the workspace, right? And is that going to kind of like reduce productivity? And like, you know, there's been so many studies on it and all that, but I'm like, they're talking as if like these adults are like children who can't like, you know, have like a very short attention span and can't get like work done quickly. But I feel like when you when people like make the workspace or workplace this like whole life, like you know, because you're there the majority of the day, every day of the week, and you're talking and thinking like that, it's then there's all these studies that are going to be done, and it's like people usually get most of their work done at least like the first half of the day. So productivity isn't anything like, you know, that needs to be of concern. And how effective is the metaverse going to be used, or how effective is it, you know, for the workplace, right? Like, why does it need to be used essentially to either keep people engaged, or to what extent will metaverses be used if like for the workplace altogether, right? Like I know, like, you know, there's surgeons and like hospitals that use like VR headsets or AR, you know, headsets and things like that to essentially educate their students or their, you know, and also preceptors, and they use those things, and they also use it in like active surgeries and things like that. But for in other workplaces, like how much of a benefit will it be? You know, like
a lot of people love it and a lot of people will hate it. So I think it's really about picking the right, not metaverse for you, but like picking if you want to even go to the metaverse at all or stay out of it. And I think because it'll be schools and work and stuff like that, you have to be really conscious of what you're picking. So if you say like have a job, but like you do meetings in the metaverse, you know, then like if you don't like the metaverse, make sure that like you ask about that. Or like if like, yeah, like you do online schooling, you know, like I like online schooling, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people like in-class things and like in-person things. So it depends on the person. But that's generally it.
Some people like, you know, really like the metaverse, so they like come to work just to be a part of that, right? And if they are having like their little avatars like do their work for them, if that keeps them engaged, cool. And where they don't have to like always like be faced on a camera like in meetings for hours a day, but you're meeting them in the metaverse, like, okay, cool. So like as long as, you know, productivity is essentially up and like everything is getting done in a timely manner, like it, you know, whatever works for those companies, but it shouldn't be like forced upon different teams and different companies to essentially engage with it. So yeah. It's time for my favorite segment, Pitch It or Ditch It.
Yes, Pitch It or Ditch It is where you pitch it if you like the idea and you ditch it if you hate it.
All right. So Pharrell's Metaverse. Pitch it or ditch it.
Pitch it, pitch it, pitch it. Pharrell, please watch this. I pitch it. I pitch it. Like, imagine a little Pharrell walking around, his other little outfits and stuff, like music playing everywhere, little music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pharrell in like a bape jacket and like a bathing ape jacket and like some like shorts and stuff. You know, he always wearing shorts with some like high, like what's it called, like his socks like all the way like halfway to his like calf and stuff, and like his sneakers, like his little Adidas collab sneakers or whatever, and just like walking around with the hat on and stuff, you know, like little Pharrell. I like it. Yeah, I literally described his whole outfit, but yeah, I can definitely I could definitely see it. But wasn't Pharrell just saying like the whole like Web3 metaverse stuff and like all this stuff was stupid like months ago, and then a month later he got that got that music deal?
No, he was hanging out with Tyler the Creator, and Tyler the Creator didn't like the concept of like NFTs in the metaverse, and I think it's because like they're introduced to it in the wrong way. Like, when you look at it as a concept, it does seem a little silly because it cuts into, like, other sales and, like, other things. But, like, come on. Like, Pharrell's already in the metaverse. Like, the man doesn't age. Like, realistically, it makes sense. Like, I can't imagine, like, Pharrell, Pharrell creating a space completely of his own mind to share with his supporters. Like,
yeah, like a whole universe with like everything from the beginning of Pharrell's career to now. I think it'll be so insane because Pharrell's like one of those people that you wouldn't even know that was Pharrell behind the project until like it just like blew up. And like unless you're like a Pharrell head or like a Pharrell fan, then you wouldn't really even know that he was the one singing or like he's the one that produced like this. Like people didn't know Pharrell was behind the whole like the Minions hits and like all that stuff. And like the first movie essentially the songs blew up so much that he got he was able to do the second movie and the music on that and produce that. So like people didn't even know that he's literally like the face of the Minions universe. Like, so now imagine having a universe or a metaverse where all of Pharrell's career.
Minions, like the little yellow guys?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I was like, he made like Minion, but Minions.
Oh no, yeah, like he did the music for Despicable Me, and then you know he essentially kind of rolled over to like the whole like Despicable Me and Minions like universe. So like, yeah, so I'm like, okay, like the Happy song became so huge. And all the other songs that he did for them, but like his whole career from all of the songs that he's produced to being an artist, a nerd, and producing like you know that music, all of his fashion collabs, and then I know he's like on this like board now, or like he's I don't know, he's like some type of like creative director for some board, like not metaverse, but like some like digital fashion thing. I don't know like what it is, but like he's done so much, and then you wouldn't even think like dang Pharrell was behind this. So you know he's just getting his checks and going. But imagine all of that in like a whole Pharrell universe, and you get to experience that, especially having all of his like you know like all of the big people that are like, he's close to, his friends that he's collabed with, you know. Yes, like a little like, you know, Snoop Dogg can even have a house in his little metaverse, you know what I'm saying? Like Kenzo, not Kenzo, Nigo who is now the creative director for Kenzo. You know, Nigo could have his like little thing and stuff like that. Like, you know, they've collabed before on things, or like, I think like, you know, Philip Pharrell has supported him like with Bathing Ape and all of that, you know, because Nigo essentially created Bathing Ape. So all of those things all wrapped into a metaverse would just be so cool. Like I would love it. I feel like it would be colorful and bomb as fuck. So yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think
he got a skincare brand, right?
Oh yeah, like he's fashion icon, skincare icon, like just like overall just iconic. So definitely a world about him. Yeah.
I would definitely love to learn more about that. So yeah, pitch it. I just pitched it now. So we just set up the whole idea. So yeah.
And I think probably he'll have a lot of like creator exploration and collaboration because he's big on like bringing the youth up as well. So I think that's probably a big reason behind why he's making a metaverse. Or he just hung out with Snoop Dogg a little too long one week. I don't know.
I don't know, but you know, just give us a call if you need any other ideas, right? Ring us up. So, all right. So the next one, Iris Van Herpen in the metaverse.
Oh, I don't think we need that. I kind of ditch it. Like we have enough, like okay, Iris Van Herpen. I don't know how to say the last part, but their clothing and concepts are already like bringing like digital to the IRL, and like it's like transforming like ways we see physical pieces and physical clothing into something much more astounding. So I think like visually speaking, there's no point of putting that in a digital form because it's not as cool. It's not actually physical. And I feel like a website would be enough to like learn about the history of like this creative person and like everything that they do and their team and stuff. I don't think there's enough content and context to make an entire world. They might fit into a wider designer world, but I think that would be a little niche, I guess, for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, Iris Van Herpen, I hope I'm saying her first name right, but like I wouldn't say like creating a metaverse like solely just for Iris Van Herpen and the brand, but like being in it, like maybe partnering with somebody. I know that they are currently working in partnership with Microsoft to create something, so I'm very interested to see how that is going to play out. I do feel like since her designs are so intricate and so complex, and you can't grasp all of it on screen. But if you see it in person, it's like just so detailed that like, how can you translate that into a digital form when the technology or like just like how designs are created now digitally aren't really like there yet. Like it's going to take an immense amount of money, you know, to like basically replicate like that same type of form like digitally. But I think maybe attaching some type of like digital experience outside of the design aspect would be good, but not fully trying to replicate the designs. I'm thinking like the way, like I'm thinking of like the different metaverses I've seen, like different designs and like different designs I've seen, they haven't reached that level of like intricacy yet, just yet. So I'm not sure how that would really translate on screen, but attaching some type of experience, maybe having some type of AR experience is like the only closest thing I would say to having the designs in like more of a tech form. But other than that, I think having another type of experience to experience Iris Van Herpen is better than fully entrenching, like creating designs and then like it doesn't translate very well. So I think it really has to be like, they really have to be careful on brand image and also like how they essentially want to be viewed digitally, you know? So yeah.
I think the concept, like the actual creation of the pieces itself and like the brand itself does create its own world. It does. So I understand the concept of why I would bridge over to a metaverse, but I don't think in the wider world and in a wider audience, it creates like an actual tangible metaverse. I think, it does fall into more of like a website, you know, and that's just, but I agree. That's definitely an interesting one. So are they actually making a metaverse, or is that like...
I don't think it's like they're making a metaverse. I think they're like creating something. I don't know if it's going to be NFTs or like some type of like design, but I know they're working with Microsoft and using their technology to create something. Like, but all the headlines are like, oh, Iris Van Herpen in the metaverse. But I think they're just coining the metaverse as a, you know, like term again, as a name again, but not sure like what metaverse it's going to be in and things like that. Maybe I don't think there's going to be some type of Iris Van Herpen like store.
I have a hunch because like Microsoft Flight Simulator, And like those are the types of things that Microsoft makes, is more like integration with like Google Maps and all these different types of like, actual connecting real world to IRL. So maybe like some type of AR, some type of location based system, or like some kind of like flyover experience, because like Iris is like all these different like, I don't know, they're like plants. A lot of the dresses look like plants and flowers that could exist but don't. So maybe like, yeah, something like that could be, yeah, especially with the VR set, maybe. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. Good job.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a between a pitch it and a ditch it today for that. But yeah, let's move forward to our last one, which is we talked about this a bit, renting apartments in metaverses, like a meta Airbnb. It's better than a real Airbnb experience. Like Airbnb experiences for people like going in is great, but like for the people who are like listing their Airbnbs, they can have very tragic stories with like people leaving their stuff messy and like all like murders happening and stuff. Like that's bad, very bad.
Could we get like hacking form if we did like a metaverse Airbnb? Like, could we just hack your Airbnb apartment so when the next person stays, they get all your metadata? Like, I don't know.
No, right? I actually would. I never thought of that. Actually, that's funny.
Like, you know, when they leave little cameras, like people leave little cameras. You heard those horror stories on TikTok?
Yeah.
They have little cameras in the little walls and stuff like that. Like, that could translate. I'm not giving these hackers ideas though. So
yeah, we haven't gotten to the point of actually creating like meta Airbnb yet, but yeah, like that's the idea. Don't take it. Just don't use it at all.
I think for me, like when I bought my first plot of Metaverse land, I was like, well, yeah, I can make a mall. I can make an apartment, and then I can like rent out the apartments and the stuff, and like everybody that comes and hangs out on my land are cool people. And like, yeah, that's totally a concept, and I think it could be doable, depending on like how they set up the systems and like minting and all that stuff. But yeah, I guess it brings in the problem that like land technically could be unlimited, it could be like limitless, and then that comes down to marketing, and that comes down to like who has more money. So I'm gonna say that I don't know. I'm here for the money, but like there's too much intricate problems, and I'm not a real estate broker.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's mindset for me. Like capitalism is a bitch. I mean, actually, I'm in between my beliefs on capitalism. Okay, so I think that's where even me, like I agree with you. It's kind of an in between. Like, don't know if we should pitch it or ditch it, because it is a benefit, but then it can get out of hand. And then like look at what's going on in the real world right now, like with all of these big corporations trying to like buy out all these houses because they believe millennials and Gen Z and like all the future generations do not want to own homes. So like imagine that the same mentality going into like metaverses and stuff, and then like people do not have a chance to actually have ownership of something. Like this is giving people a second opportunity, and yet it could be snatched away with like an evil villain coming in and trying to just rent out everything altogether. But for people who just want to partially exist in metaverses, I do think it is a good opportunity just to like rent out like space and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't know, it's a very interesting. So I'm not going to give a pitch or a ditch on this. These are very complex topics. So
yeah, I would say pitch it in large form. Like obviously corporations. Let's say you build a metaverse and it's super poppin', super popular. Everybody wants to be there, right? And then like some artist comes along and says, hey, let me use your audience and I'll have a performance in your metaverse. Like, and like charge a fee or whatever your conditions are. I think that's perfectly plausible. However, if you can build up almost limitlessly in an apartment complex and you put it on your plot of land and you're selling each apartment for like, I don't know, a ridiculous price, like 1 or 2 ETH apartment, like, I don't think that's ethical. I don't think that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, but then the question is, who's really gonna buy that? And this is why we have like a lot of like more dead metaverses where we don't have users. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I have another one actually.
Ooh, pitch it or ditch it. Let's do it. Round 4. Ding, ding, ding. Special day.
Sims implementing play to earn.
Oh, I guess that's good because people are already making money off of Sims and stuff like that. So I think that's totally like now they want to take a cut of it, which I think makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, Sims is like, but I'm just like, how people, they have such high usage, but I'm like, how are not people taking the same, like, I guess studying Sims and then like kind of emulating, like, okay, how can they like adopt that same user experience that Sim has created onto like their metaverse? I don't know. I would think that would be the simplest like game form to study, but I guess people just aren't doing it.
It's because like P2E gaming, it wasn't like sustainable. Like it collapsed a lot of things and like it makes like a lot more issues in place, especially when it's just like a video game that the users pay to like play the game. They pay to buy extra stuff. Let's say you want like they learned how to create like Sims outfits and different hairs and different stuff, and you can buy that from like a different user. I don't know if it's off platform. I've never played before, but I know you can like buy things from people and like trade stuff with people. So I don't know if that's done like off platform. But yeah, essentially it's just adding a little bit more complications to the already complicated gameplay and then having to like individualize it for everybody. Like it is like quite a hard like process. This is why GTA isn't like, you know, open world, or like why we have all these open world games happening, but there's not like a crazy amount of stuff going on. You'll have like dead areas where it's just like there's no users, there's no anything. You're just walking around bored. There's no quests.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. I'm like, we can talk about this forever, but I'm like, I just want to break down like how are they not getting this right? Like you know, like not outside of like the play to earn part, like why scale to the like, you know, like you're pushing it and then you sell all of this stuff and then you don't have any users, but you're not you're not giving proper rules or proper rules for your like the company itself to be like, okay, we're not going to do this. Like we want it to be highly engaging, have high usage, and not just be a cash grab where we're taking money in because we're selling all of this land and then it's useless and then you're basically pushing back out that land. I mean not that land, but the money, because you now have to just keep it alive and sustain it that way. That's it. Like, come on now, like there's just nothing else to it. So they have now, I guess, like learned all these mistakes and like they're coasting and there's not much they can do because the market is bad and everything is just really just turned to shit. So, you know, we're back at square one where we started in the beginning of this episode. So I guess it's now just the time to like watch what happens next. Mm-hmm. They take learn from their own mistakes and actually make it better. Like not there's things that are already just, metaverse, but like now implementing like all of these other factors, scale properly. Don't just sell land and just make, scale properly, I guess.
I think that's one of the biggest problems that I've heard from gamers, at least, is like, if you put in P2E or like play to earn, like, gaming and stuff like that, is that like, it does make it a lot about the money and there's going to be a lot more bots and it's not about gameplay anymore. And like for a lot of the population, they didn't buy the game to like make money. They bought the game to spend money and to like be in a different little world and stuff. And like some people did capitalize on it and make their own little storefronts and like things like that and capitalize off of it. Just like in Fortnite, right? Like Fortnite, you're only able to sell like or buy skins from Fortnite and they get the money. But now there's like all these gamer guilds and like you can play for like money against teams and stuff, like on a national, international level. And you can like do all these different collabs with Fortnite or be an influencer or be a YouTuber and just record your stuff. So people do find ways to make money off of the game, except the game itself and the company itself doesn't have to deal with those issues or even like a self-collapse, because let's say there's bots, or let's say like something doesn't work or payouts don't work or something like that. So yeah, it's a little more complicated, but they'll figure it out.
All right. Well, that was it for Pitch It or Ditch It today. All right. So for today's roundup, we have some news for you guys. First, congratulations to Tribute Brand for raising $4.5 million. Congratulations to the team. And I'm really excited to see what they plan to do next, what projects they have in store, and what team they're going to build. And congratulations to Danny Loftus. She essentially has created a marketplace, or dropping a marketplace, I believe this fall. And it's spelled DRAUP, but pronounced drop. So follow her along the journey. She actually raised $1.5 million in her seed round, and two of the investors, one is actually an executive at Ledger, Ian Rogers, and Trevor McFeartis, who is the creator behind the CGI influencer, Lil Miquela. So I'm really excited to see, maybe Lil Miquela will actually get a digital closet in the marketplace, or a collab. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, that would be great. That'd be cool. We all know Lil Miquela. But yeah, this week's episode was about the metaverse, and this is not sponsored, but we just wanted to shout out our favorite metaverses. It would be Monaverse and Leapin. Both of them are really good, and they have good quality where all of your digital fashion can be shown amazingly. So check them out. I'll post links in the YouTube below. And yeah, thank you for listening to this episode of The Metaverse with The Fashion Code.
Bye.
See ya.